Hello everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first update video for 2024. This video is going to be kind of longer because at the end of December I decided that I wanted to work on any whip that hadn't been worked on during Flossmas, and so there was 6 projects that I hadn't worked on during Flossmas, and my goal was to try and do at least 500 stitches on each of those projects. So one of them got a lot more. One of them got less, which I will explain why when I get to that project, but there will be 6 whips that took me to the end of the year that I worked on, and then I had a new start at the end of the year, and then I have worked on other projects in January for my yearly goals, which I will talk about my plans for January towards the end of the video. So to start with, the first project that I will be showing, and if I look down, I have a notebook here that has all my projects that I worked on just so I can keep track of them all. The first one that I will show is Walking in the Rain. I am stitching the large cropped version, and this chart is from Artisy, and I will be inserting pictures of everything, what it will look like finished and where it was before I started stitching on it, so all that will be inserted without me, saying it every single time. And here's where I got to on this chart. I got 527 stitches put into this chart, and I focused on filling in more of the top row because when I started stitching on this originally, I was working over in the left corner, just stitching down the chart because I wanted to get to the lantern things here. And then I decided last year that I wanted to stitch to the right corner of the chart, and so I did that. And then I've been focusing when I pull it out on filling in more of this top row, and then I can start stitching down the project because I realized I like to have stitched over and then start stitching down. And I am stitching this on a 25 count 2 over 1 10 stitch, which is a half cross. I've seen some talk about like half cross versus continental and basket weave stitching, and when you're stitching a full coverage project like that, it's really hard to keep track of like which one you're doing. You're not like, because there's so much confetti, there's not really a way to stick to one of those methods. So sometimes I'm doing a half cross, sometimes I end up doing continental if I'm going back and forth and doing a row and then going back. I'll do a half cross row and then I'll do a row of continental, which the difference is how they look on the back. So if you are doing just a half cross, the back is going to have straight lines on it. If you are doing continental stitch, the back is going to have diagonal lines on the back of the stitching. But yeah, when you're doing full coverage, you can't really keep track. Like, I'll show you the back. The back of this project is a mess because there's so much confetti. There's so many colors that are used in it. But I've just seen people like talking recently about different methods of tent stitch. But yeah, when you're doing full coverage, it's really hard to stick to one or keep track because you're just stitching all over. Anyways, so that was the first project I worked on. I got 527 stitches, and there was some days that I was able to work on 2 projects. So I worked on this project, and the same day I was able to switch to my next project because I still had some stitching time left in the day. And so then I started working on Templar Prophecy, which is by Long Dog Sampler. And this project has been like severely neglected. I started it, I don't even remember when I started it. I have Notion over here, but I don't know how long it will take me to find the project. I actually filled out Notion at the end of the year. I'll explain what it is first. So it's by Stitchy Natty. It's a cross-stitch template that you purchase, and then you can put in all your stuff, and then it like calculates things for you. So you put in your project, you put in the designer, you can put in your fabric, so it keeps track of all the stuff, that goes with the project. And then you can also put in when you started the project. You can put in the amount of stitches that you have already done on the project, so where the project is starting at, because a lot of these, all my whips have been going for a while. And then as you stitch on it, there is a little calendar where you can put in the project, how many stitches you did per day, and then it will add that to your project. So then it's keeping track of how many stitches you've done so far for the year, how many stitches you've done in the month, and so it just adds everything for you because I don't want to add things myself, and this does it all for me. And it was kind of complicated for me to set it up. I originally was going to try and do like a video setting it up, but I ended up not doing it because I waited until like the very last minute to do this, to set it up. I wanted it ready for January 1st so that once I started the year, I would be able to just start fresh in Notion and be able to put in how many stitches I've done on projects, every day, and have it add it for me. And so like it was like December 30th, and I was trying to get all my projects in, which I have 30, how many projects do I have now? I have 33 projects currently, wait, no, 32, because one of those is technically empty because I'm allowing myself a new start on my Whipco board. So one of them is empty. There's an empty space on my list. But yeah, I have 32 projects and I had to put all of them in, put in the date of when I started it, which I'm terrible at keeping track of dates, and then get it all done. And all my kids were home because it was still Christmas break or winter break. And so yeah, putting everything in, it took a minute. Figuring out some of the stuff like took a while, but I got it done. And so now I'm using it. Anyway, so Templar Prophecy is one that I started in 2019. That means it's probably one of my oldest whips currently, because I have some that were technically older, but I restarted them. So when I restart a whip, I don't use the old start by date, I use the one of when I restarted it. So yeah, it's one of my oldest whips. I don't stitch on it very much because I samplered myself out or something, but here is where it got to. When I worked on it, I did 500 stitches, and like as soon as I hit 500, I quit working on it. And I will say that I'm enjoying it more now because I originally started it using the paper pattern, but I put the PDF into Pattern Keeper and I have been stitching it using Pattern Keeper instead, and it's going a little bit better. I enjoy that a lot more, especially because this area here is very, very stitch heavy, and on the paper pattern it's really hard to see the 10 by 10 grid lines, but in Pattern Keeper they show up better, so it's going to be easier to count this big section that's going to have really long lines of stitching. And this is the area that I was focusing on. So this is page 2 going into page 3. And that's the other thing that I like about Pattern Keeper, is the Pattern Keeper, it puts everything together. And so before, when you're stitching across pages, you have to have both pages out and you're kind of fumbling with them, trying to get the overlapped section right. Pattern Keeper, it's all together, and so it was much easier to fill in this section here without having to fumble with pages. I am stitching this on a fabric that I dyed myself. Dyeing this fabric was kind of a pain in the butt because to get it so dark, I had to do it multiple times, and I also had to add a ton of dye compared to what they recommend to use. And then I also mixed blue in with the black to try and make it less purpley gray, because Rit dye black is kind of like a purple based black, and so it can kind of go purple or gray depending on like how diluted it is. So I added some blue, navy blue I think it was, to try and make it a darker color. Yeah. And then I'm using DMC 666, which is a great like vibrant red, and did I say this is 22 count, and I'm doing it 1/1 full cross. So there's all the information for that. And then the next project I will show is one, I'm trying to figure out where to put these, because these projects need to be put away because I'm not going to be working on them anymore, but then I have some projects that I need to keep out, so I'm going to try and keep things somewhat organized as I go through this. The next project is Pokemon Switch, which is by Glitch Stitch AU on Etsy. I love, love, love the charts from Glitch Stitch AU, and well, I'm trying to move the needle out of the way. This got worked on a couple times. I worked on it once at the end of December, and then I have been working on it recently. So here is where it is. In December, I focused on filling in the Joy-Con because this is supposed to be a Switch, and then it's supposed to have the Pokemon starters on it. So these are the starters from Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. There is, I'm trying to remember their names. I know there's Fuecoco, Sprigatito, and I think Quaxley. I think. Anyways, I was filling in the Joy-Con here when I worked on it in December, and then the Joy-Con is not the charted colors though. The charted Joy-Con colors are red and blue. Mine are the Animal Crossing Joy-Cons on my Switch that I have, so I switched the colors. And then I have been working on this in the car during my car stitching when I pick up my kids, because I want to finish this chart this year. And I've been working on the brown, and the reason why is because I switched the colors, I don't have these colors with the chart. I only have them in like my full set of DMC. And so I remember the first day I went to stitch on this, I was going to stitch on the Joy-Con. That was my plan. And then I get in the car and I'm like, I don't have this color with me. And so I started working on the brown. So I do want to go back and finish the Joy-Con and get that done. But like I said, I need to get the DMC color for this out of my stash, and then I can, you know, work on that. But yeah, so that's why I didn't work on that. And it was so disappointing though, because I got in the car, I'm all ready to do it, and then I realized I don't have the color. And then I also had issues where this pattern is in Pattern Keeper. I normally use Pattern Keeper on a laptop, but I also have it on my phone because my phone is an Android phone. And when I exported the PDF, I did not realize that this was a chart where you had to input the color numbers yourself. The symbols like didn't have the colors assigned. And so then I get in the car, go to stitch, and then I realized that I'm going to have to put in all the colors myself, or you can just leave them gray, but that's not fun to look at. And so I ended up spending some of my car stitching time putting in the symbol numbers. And so this project, when I worked on it in December, it got 526 stitches, and then it's gotten another like 200-ish stitches since I've started working on it in the car, which, like I said, this is going to be hopefully a finish this year. Hopefully. And my plan for this one on trying to get it finished is to work on it in the car for car stitching. And obviously I have the rest of this school year, which my kids get out of school in the middle of June, and then school will start again next year. Usually it's the end of August or beginning of September. It depends like on when Labor Day is, because we always start the Thursday before Labor Day. So that's the plan on trying to get this one finished. And this is being stitched on an 18 count fabric, 2/1 full cross. All right, the next project that I will be showing is one that got more stitches because I could not stop on it. And that is the chart Myera Sol, which is charted by Nini Thomas. And I will show you why I could not stop. I was working on her face. So I have wanted to get her face done for a while because I like to see how the face is going to turn out on things, because if the face isn't going to be good, then I would just stop working on it. So I kind of want to know early on what I'm gonna think of it. And so I started her face, and I can't remember how many stitches. It was like 700 stitches the first day that I worked on it. And all that I had done was like some of like just her skin. I hadn't done any of like the nose or her lips or eyes or anything. And so the next day I was like, do I want to switch or do I want to keep going? And I was like, I gotta keep going. And so I ended up doing another 700 stitches to get more of her facial features in. And I'm fairly certain that her eyes and lips are completely finished. And I think she turned out pretty good. So I just had to fix the focus on my phone real quick. So yeah, I think it turned out fairly good, especially when you consider the fact that her face isn't really like the focus. Her dress is really the focus in this piece. Like, I'll have the picture inserted. And I mean, that's the big thing in this. She has a big, giant, pretty dress. So I am happy with it, with the detail, because it's a pretty small face compared to like Autumn Harmony, which is a giant face. And this is being stitched on, it's either a 27 count Linda or a 28 count 2/1 10 stitch. So there she is. And I am very happy with the fact that I got her face done, and now I know how she's going to look. So the next piece that I worked on is a piece that I would like to get finished this year. And it is Tonight We Ride by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I did, I think 500 stitches. I only wrote down 251, but I think I ended up working on it 2 days. So I worked on it one day for 251, and then I think I did another day of another like 250 before I put it away. And here is what I worked on. So I was working on the witch here. I finished outlining at first because I wanted to do the outline because there's lots of rows of black that are very long, and so I figured it would be easier to outline it and then I could just fill this in without looking at the chart anymore. So I did the outline, and then I also did some of the fill-in on this chart. And yeah, she's huge. She's gonna be a giant witch. This is being stitched on, this is Halloween fabric from Witch's Garden Crafts on Etsy. And it's a 16 count 2/1 full cross. And here is what I have done so far. I started this last year, and I started it in the middle with the house, worked up to the moon, did this, and then I went to this witch here. And then after I finish this witch, my plan is to eventually go over to the other side, do the other witch, and then I'll go down and stitch like the houses and kind of like the fun areas. So where did I put the bag? There it is. Okay, the next chart that I have to show is the last of what I worked on in December for like finishing working on all my whips. And it is Lord of the Rings by Glitch Stitch AU. And so my plan was I was going to work on this for New Year's Eve because I originally started this chart for New Year's Eve / New Year's start of 2022 going into 2023. So that was my plan. You're gonna do that. And then the Myera Sol came out earlier. So if you don't know, Heaven and Earth is doing a stitch along. It's too late to join right now. And I had signed up for it. They originally had said the chart was going to come out January 1st. So I was like, it's perfect. I will stitch on the Lord of the Rings chart for New Year's Eve. Then I will be ready on the 1st to stitch on the Myera stitch along. I woke up on New Year's Eve, checked my email. There's the Heaven and Earth chart. They had sent it early, which was a lovely surprise. But then I was like, I really wanted to stitch on the Lord of the Rings chart. But then I was also like, I want to start the Heaven and Earth stitch along. So I ended up only doing 200, no, I didn't even write it down. I think I only did like 200 stitches. I did not get the full 500 because I was like, I just want to start this new chart. So I will show what I got done. I am stitching this one with all the black first, hopefully, if I can stick with it, because sometimes black gets so boring. And I don't even remember exactly where I worked. I was filling in this area, possibly. And I'm stitching this on a 22 count 1/1 full cross. And that's all I did, because I was like, I want to do the Heaven and Earth stitch along. I wanted my new start. And it was just fun because like seeing everyone was like all excited about getting it early, and then seeing people starting it, you just want to join in real bad. And so I did. We are now currently at what I have worked on then for January. Technically, the Heaven and Earth stitch along started on December 31st instead of January, but it's fine. So now we're into what I worked on then. So let me find the stitch along first to show that. So the stitch along, if you weren't aware, I had talked about it in my previous video, which was my Flossmas finale video. And so you join the stitch along. There are 10 different charts. I picked, did I write it down? Merry Mushroom Village Picnic number 3. So there are 3 mushroom charts. There's red mushroom. I think they call the other one a purple mushroom, but it's kind of rainbowy. And then the one I'm doing is a yellow mushroom. So if you have trouble remembering, and then the one I'm doing also has a fairy. So that's kind of the way I remember it, is like, it's the mushroom fairy. And so I got my start on that. And the way it works is if you finish 4 pages of the chart, you get all the other stitch along charts at the end of the year. If you finish the entire thing, you get to pick 2 charts from the Heaven and Earth website. So I at least want to finish 4 pages because I really want the other mushroom charts really bad. The red mushroom, I've seen people stitching it. It's amazing. I love the mushroom charts. They're like fantasy little mushrooms. It's cute. So I really would like to at least get 4 pages finished. Like a stretch goal is I would really like to be able to get those 2 free charts, like, you know. And so if you do, I think it's 166 stitches a day, it will be finished by the end of the year. And so that is what I have been doing now. The first day I worked on it, I did a lot more though. So on December 31st, I did like 1,500 stitches. So that puts me ahead already. And then every day since then, I have been doing at least 166 stitches, so that I am trying to like keep up with it so that I can get at least the 4 pages and possibly the whole thing finished. And yeah, so here is my start on Merry Mushroom Village Picnic number 3, which this is artwork from an Amy Stewart chart that is called Merry Mushroom Village Picnic. I am stitching this on a 28 count 2/1 tent stitch because, you know, tent stitch is slightly quicker than full cross, and tent stitch is just or 28 count is just my preferred fabric. So I'm really loving this because it's such a small chart. I think the whole thing is 12 pages. You already get to stitch like fun things right away. So you have like, I think this is wings here. There's like a little blue mushroom, and then right over here, or I have parked some purple threads here. That is going to be the start of a cupcake, and it's so cute because other people have already stitched it. There are some people, one person is already finished with the full 3 pages that came out, which is 22,000 stitches. Someone already finished 22,000 stitches. And they were doing, I think, the dragon chart. So there's a rainbow dragon, that's a Sheena Pike chart, and someone already finished their first 3 pages. I have seen someone else who is stitching this chart who has already done like 6,000 or 7,000 stitches. And so it's just fun to see how like people are stitching it, because everyone is stitching in like different ways. You have people who are parking and stitching like block by block. You have people who are stitching it in columns, and some people are stitching extreme cross country by color. And so it's just fun to see how people are tackling it in their different stitching methods. So I am not really sticking to a method. I've just kind of been picking a color from the top and then stitching it until I run out. And then I have been parking colors at the bottom because this is the bottom of the first row that we got. And I don't want to have a harsh line, like a straight across line at the bottom, because I worry about getting page lines. And so I have been parking threads down here and not finishing this bottom row. So I will finish the bottom row here when the next set of pages come out, which is, I think April 1st is when we get the next set of pages. And the next sets of pages are going to be smaller because this whole chart is 61,000 stitches, and the first set of pages we got was 22,000 stitches. So we've already got like a large chunk of the chart already. And then I think there's going to be a lot of like partial pages on the side and then on the bottom. So the next releases will hopefully be a little bit smaller. So there is that. And then the next thing that I will show is Autumn Harmony. I have been trying to work on her every day since January started, and that is how I'm trying to tackle this goal, because for Autumn Harmony I want to do 60,000 stitches on her this year. And so my plan is, if I do, I think it's 160 something stitches on her every day, then I will be able to get 60,000 stitches done on her this year. So let me move the needle minder. The area I'm stitching right now is kind of boring, so here is where I am stitching on her. This is her arm right here, and I didn't really want to stitch a bunch on her arm because the arm is kind of, you know, boring. It's pale colors, and I wanted to reach the bottom of the chart, so I started stitching down her arm here. And then this is where her arm ends, and then you get back into like the colorful background behind her. So that was fun to get back to like the reds and oranges that are going to be in this section. And then this is the bottom of the chart. So I was excited to reach the bottom. And now I think I'm going to fill in a little bit more of this bottom section. And then I am going to go back up to the top and then start working more top down. So this is what I worked on the last time. And then here is, I'm gonna try and go back to show her. It's gonna be hard though. Yeah, she's big. Like when you see, so here's the top of her, and then the bottom is way down here. She is going to be gigantic. I think this was a 30 by 36 inch piece of fabric, and she's basically taking up, you know, most of it. So she's big. And this is 18 count, 2/1 full cross. And so yeah, you'll be seeing her a lot this year with the Mary Mushroom. These are going to be two kind of like focusy pieces because I'm wanting to do so many stitches on them. So they'll be coming back out probably a lot. And then the other things that I worked on in January. The two other charts that I worked on in January is, which one will I start with? Okay, I found both of them. The first one I will show is one of my Whip Go pieces. So Whip Go, if you don't know, is by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. There are videos on her channel that explain it more. And you make a Whip Go board with 24 projects plus a free space, or you can do 25 projects, which I did 24 projects plus a space for a new start. And the numbers called for January were 9 and 22. Anytime my numbers are called, I want to do 1,000 stitches on the chart, and so I decided I would do one of the pieces at the beginning of the month, and then I will do the second piece that was called towards like the middle end of the month, and that way I'm kind of spacing them out a little bit. And so the first one I worked on was Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn, which is by Heaven and Earth Designs. And here is where I am. This fabric is, there we go. Here's where I am. I reached the bottom of page 1 here. I mean, I reached it a while ago, but I was like filling in this section. And so page 1 is really close to being done now because this is the edge, this is the bottom. So it's really close to being finished. And I thought about continuing on with it, but I want to reach my January goals before I go back and add extra stitches into anything else, because I have a whole thing and notion of January goals and what I need to do to stay on track for my year-long goals, which I will talk about later after this. But yeah, so the bottom of the page, all that's left is like, if you look, there's like just some blank spots there, and it's so close to being done. So I was excited to have almost a page finished. And this is being stitched on a 28 count fabric that I dyed myself, and I am stitching it 2/1 tent stitch. And I finally got these. things here to keep track of my parked threads. I think these are called like bobbies. I will grab them. I got like a giant set of them on Amazon. It was like 32 or something, but I did not see the size that I wanted in a different count, so that's what these are. And then they just go like this. You pop them up, and then you can wrap your floss around it when you're parking threads, and then you just snap it closed, and then it holds them so they won't be falling everywhere. I clearly need to add them to a lot more of my charts because when I was holding things up today, there was floss flying everywhere. But yeah, my plan is to start using these and then keep track of my parked threads a little bit better because right now they are a mess a lot of the time. So the last chart that I will be showing is Kita. Kita is artwork by Hannah Alexander, charted by Pinky the Pink, which I will link her website in the description box below. I think her website is called makeitpink.net, and that's where you can find her charts. And this is another chart that you will be seeing throughout the year a lot because I plan on working on her every single month to try and reach my yearly goal, which is to finish her. So here's where I got to on Kita, which if you don't know, Kita is from the Disney movie Atlantis, and I've just been working on the blues on this side of her dress. So on the other side here, I've already taken this color down to the bottom, or like this side, this little section of her dress down to the bottom. And so I'm doing the same thing on this other side here, and then I will go back and do fill-in later. And I was also surprised because I thought that this was like the bottom of where the chart would be. It's not. This middle section actually goes down farther. It goes down another like 30 rows, so it's going to go down even farther, and she's already a very large lady. So here is her top face, and when you hold the whole thing up, she's already very long, and now she goes down even longer. So that's going to be exciting to see how big she's going to be. This is being stitched on a 28 count fabric, 2/2 full cross, and I dyed it myself using Rit dye in the color Eggplant, I think, because I love purples a lot. So I've used this Eggplant dye on so many different fabrics because I love just purples. And sometimes I'll mix it with things, like I'll mix it with a little blue, mix it with a little bit of pink or something to make it, you know, different shades, but I love purple dye. So that is everything that I have worked on so far since my last video. Next, what I'm going to do is put away all of my projects, and then I have a new bin. So I replaced the blue bin. The blue bin is now in a storage cubby cube thing. I replaced it with this, so I have a new bin because the blue one did not hold project bags very well. Hold on, let me see if I can find a project bag. So the bin I previously had, the bags would stick out the top because it wasn't like wide enough to hold them. This bin holds them very nicely. It's going to look a little bit better next to my area. So my plan is I'm going to go get out everything that I'm planning on working on for this month, and then I will be going through it and talking about my goals for everything for the month because I have calculated how much I need to do on each project to finish it by the time I want to finish things. So yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. So I'll be right back. You'll see it in like 2 seconds. I am back with my bin of the projects that I plan on working on for January, and I will say that the projects in this bin are going to stay the same for most of the year. The only projects that are really going to change are the WhipGo pieces that are called. Those will be 2 projects that switch out, but a lot of these projects will be in this bin until they are either finished or the goal for the year is met on them, because that's how I kind of did my goals this year. Things were either put into WhipGo if they were not a focus piece. They were given a finish, like finished by a certain date, which I will talk about with the days that I plan on finishing things, or the month that I want things finished. Or they were given like a stitch count goal. So Autumn Harmony got 60,000, Little Gamer got 30,000, and then there's a different chart. Which one? The 12 Movie Nights of Christmas. I want to do 3,000, but that won't be coming out until the end of the year because I would like to do the goal for that towards Christmas time. Plus I will hopefully have some of my things finished from here, so then that will kind of go into some of the spots that it's been used for these projects. So I made a list on Notion, which I will show my little task list of what I want to do in a month to try and get things finished by the time that I want them finished. So for example, I'll show the picture of the list. So it has my whip go pieces on the top and 1,000 stitches, and then you can keep track. I have my list linked to my January stitching, so I can search and then see how many stitches I've done on something. So like I can search for Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn and it will tell me exactly how many stitches I've done on it because I put all the numbers in for the days that I stitch on it. And then for Kita, which here's Kita, my goal for Kita is I want to have the cross stitching done on her in October. And so I took how many stitches I have left on her using Pattern Keeper, because all of my projects right now are in Pattern Keeper, which I am hoping that I can continue using, you know, not having to use paper charts for anything, because then I have to count things myself. But yeah, so all the numbers I'm able to get because I use Pattern Keeper. For Kita, I divided up the amount of stitches left by, what is that, 10 months? And so it told me I need to do 1,800 stitches on her every month to have her finished in October. And then that leaves me November and December to do back stitching and beads, because she has a lot of back stitching and a lot of beading that needs to be done. So that is what I plan on doing for her. For Autumn Harmony, my plan is to do daily stitching on her, which I have to do 164 stitches daily on her, which ends up being 5,084 stitches per month. So if there's times where I get behind, I can just look at how many stitches on her have I done this month, and that will tell me if I'm on track or if I need to start doing more. So then for the Haid Stitch Along, I need to do 5,145 stitches on her per month, or on the fairy per month. I don't even know where did I put that. But for the Haid Stitch Along, 5,145 stitches will get it finished in December, because I took the total amount of stitches in the chart, divided it by 12, and then I used that number. I would like to finish Tonight We Ride this year. For the chart Tonight We Ride, which is by Autumn Lane Stitchery, which I showed earlier in the video, I would like to have it finished this year, which was my goal, and I decided that I wanted to try and finish it in, I think August was what I had set. And that would give me September to get it framed somehow or finish it somehow, and then I could have it up for October for Halloween, so Tonight We Ride. And with the amount of stitches I have left, I need to do 1,400 stitches on it per month, and that will get it finished in August, which is my goal. And then this chart here is Festive Frosted Pumpkin Cottage is I think the name, from Witchy Stitcher. I want to get this chart finished this year, and so I need to do 528 stitches a month, and that will also get this one finished in August, which then leaves me September to get it framed or finished, and then I can have it up for the holiday season this year. And then the last one that I have not talked about, or I guess there's two technically. So the last one that's going to be worked on like every month is Little Gamer, which is by Gecko Rouge. This chart is no longer available, unfortunately, because Medusa Dollmaker is on Etsy now. So this chart is not on there yet. Hopefully it will be, but Medusa Dollmaker now does their own charting, so it's not available through Gecko Rouge anymore. And I want to do 30,000 stitches on this chart, and I calculated that if I do 2,500 stitches on it every month, then I will reach that goal. And so I've tried to break down some of my bigger goals into like smaller little monthly chunks, and then that way I can keep on track of things, because sometimes you just keep pushing things to the side and you don't do it. Like Little Gamer, I haven't touched it yet this month, and I hadn't even calculated anything about it until like just like the other day. I was like, I need to figure things out better, because I could just imagine myself getting to the end of the year and then being like, oh, I was wanting to do 30,000 stitches on it and now there's not time. So I'm trying to like think ahead of how can I break these things down and have them finished when I want to, and then also not like forget to work on other projects, because like last year when I finished the Stardew Valley charts, I would pretty much stitch only on those charts and I wasn't getting work done on other things. And this way I'm kind of rotating through multiple things, which gives me, you know, a variety of things to work on and reach goals at the same time. And then the last thing that I'll be working on though in January, this is one of my whip go pieces, so it will only be worked on this month, and that is Heaven on Earth 2 from Charting Creations. and I will show where I am on it right now. And because it's a whip go piece, I will only be doing 1,000 stitches, which is kind of sad, but it's better than the nothing that it could possibly get if I didn't use a whip go. So I'll be doing that probably later in the month though, because I was working on Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn already, and now I need to work on some of these other projects that haven't been touched yet, because I still have not worked on a lot of these things. So that is what I'll be working on for January. I will, like I said, I inserted my thing on Notions of my task list, and I really like the fact that you can like check things off when they're done, because I already got to do that for Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn. I love checking things off. It's just very satisfying. So I am looking forward to, I think the next project I will meet the goal for is Kita. I wanted to do 1,800 stitches on her this month, and I have already done, hold on, I can search because I have Notion up right here. Kita. I worked on her 2 days. I've already done 1,300 stitches on her, so I'm already, you know, 500 stitches away from meeting the goal on her. So I will most likely do that, get her done this next week, get her checked off, and then I can pick a different project out of here and try and work on the goal for that project. So that's what I'll be working on. That was kind of a long video. That is what I'll be doing in the month of January. I'm not sure if I will be doing weekly update videos right now, or if I will just do end of month update videos where I kind of show you like, did I meet the goal on this and what I worked on. If I meet all the goals for these projects in a month and still have time left over, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to work on. I mean, I don't really know. Will I be able to meet all these goals and have time left? I've thought about, if I meet all my monthly goals and still have days left over, about like allowing myself like a small new start, like small. Because this year I'm trying not to start anything over 100,000 stitches, which the Haid Stitch Along met those requirements because it's only 61,000 stitches. So I was like, woo! And so I want to start more small things. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you all in my next video, which will either be in another week or two, or it will be at the end of the month. I'm not sure yet. So I'll see you all then though. Bye!